Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I am working further on my Dollar Tree Junk Journal Challenge journal that I'm making for the giveaway prize. There are still a few more days left in September. My deadline is September 30th. If you'd like to find out more about the challenge and all the requirements, go ahead and check the link down below. But basically, you are making a journal, a junk journal, made from all products that you can buy at a Dollar Tree or similar dollar store, and I'd love for you to still participate. So for today, I wanted to do the finishing touches on my book. So far, what you've watched and crafted with me was how I put my signatures together, and then I sewed it into the cover. I showed you how to make the cover and then the tassel. Today I want to work on making tags and possibly some pockets and some tuck spots and things like that. So what I did was I gathered everything that I had left out of all the items I used, and I'm just gonna see what I can come up with. So I have some ribbon and some lace left. I have some of this binding that was on the outside of the pot holder, and I actually have a piece of my pot holder left here, so I'm going to see if I can use some of that fabric. I also I cut a little piece of my wrapping paper. I have a piece of paper that I dyed with the Kool-Aid packet, and then also a book page, and I have this piece that was from the file folder. I have the twine left. I still have these envelopes and cards. I included a couple of them in so far, but I think I might use one to make a tag and possibly embellish an envelope. And then I also have some pieces left from the calendar. These parts I had cut up but haven't used. I used other sections. And then I thought maybe I could do something with one of the doilies today, so that is what I'm going to do. So if you'd like to join me, gather all your stuff and work on embellishments and tags and envelopes and things like that. To start off, I'm taking one of the cards and I'm just going to cut the cat down to make a quick little bookmark, and I was trying to decide if I wanted to add anything to it, but it just kind of looked funny like that, so I just decided to punch a hole, and I tied some of the ribbon and the lace through. I just kind of put the ribbon and the lace through the hole and then gathered it up at the top, and then used some of my twine to tie a double knot around that, and that just made a nice little tassel up there at the top of the bookmark. And so that one is done. Pretty quick and easy thing to add to the junk journal. Now I wanted to use the envelope that came with that notebook, so I'm going to cut down some of the paper that I had dyed with the blue, I think it was Kool-Aid or one of those mixes, and a piece of my folder, and I was just gonna decorate it up a little bit. I also had a picture, the tiny little cat picture from the calendar, so I cut that down and mounted it onto that little turquoise piece there. I'm just gonna cut it a little bit more so it fits in the middle of that, and then just use my glue to glue it down. I'm trying to decide where I want to put it, and then I decide to pull in some of the fabric, and so I glued down the notebook paper first, and then I glued the fabric down. That was the fabric from that pot holder. And then I glued down my picture to finish that part off. I decided to glue the inside of the envelope, the flap inside there, and now I'm going to line this. So to do that, I'm going to trim this down to make it even and then stick it in there and fold it over. And then trim it down so it's basically a square folded in half to make a triangle. So I glued that inside to line the envelope, and then I left the other side so that I could glue it onto the page. So that'll make a nice little tuck spot. So now I'm going to make a little pocket using one of the doilies. This was the second largest doily, I believe, from the doily pack at the Dollar Tree. So I just fold up one end and then the two sides. And for decoration, I'm going to use my ribbon and my lace. So I'm just going to trim that down. I decided I wanted to do little little tails on the ends so they stuck off, and then cut that lace down. And I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine and stitch down the two sides and the bottom. But first I'm going to add some more of my gift wrap paper to the inside just to have a liner for it. So now I'll go ahead and sew that off camera. There it is sewn. Makes a cute little pocket. And for now I'm just going to stick that piece of book paper in there, but eventually I do change that out with another tag. So I'm taking this part of the calendar and trimming it down some. I'm going to make a tag from this, and this I think this is the one, I think this is just the tag, an extra tag that I'm making for one of the pockets. I think this fits into that envelope there, yeah. So I just cut a piece of paper and went over to my sewing machine, and now I'm adding some ribbon to this one. I love to make little tags like this just by sewing up two pieces together. So that makes a cute little tuck there. And this is another piece from the calendar, so I'm going to trim this down. And this is one that I'm going to make this fit into that little doily pocket. So it's kind of wide, so I'll have to trim down a little bit more. And I trimmed down to the bottom as well. But it's kind of thin, so I'm adding the other side of that note card to sturdy it up a bit. So I'm going to trim it down to that and go over to my sewing machine and sew that together. So I went ahead and did that. And I'll go ahead and add some ribbon. On this one I decided to add a piece of the turquoise ribbon, and I just double knotted it around the lace just to add a little bit of color at the top of that pocket. And so now I think this looks great. The little pocket with that little cute kitten head sticking through it. Super adorable. So for this page, I decided I wanted to make an envelope. So I have my envelope punch board here. If you don't have one of these, I'll put a link down for it below. But you can make all different size pockets or envelopes using the envelope punch board, as well as you can make a library pocket, which is really cool. I have a video on that. I'll try to link that down below. Basically, for the envelope punch board, you cut your paper at a certain size For this one, I believe it was between 7 and 8 inches square. And then on the punch board, it tells you exactly where to line your paper up along that ruler at the top, and then you score and you punch, and it punches out the little notches and scores where you need to fold to make the envelope. So yeah, it makes really easy envelopes. You can use any paper that you have, and I just think this is really cute. So I'm gluing them the two sides, and then the one I folded up to make the envelope. And now I'm just going to stick this piece of folded paper into that little envelope, and then I will use my flap eventually to glue to one of the pages in the album, and then this envelope will fold out and then reveal a little hidden tuck spot there. I just glued some ribbon at the bottom to add a little bit of extra to that envelope. Now I'm taking my piece of calendar, this is the cover, I'm going to cut the kittens part out, and I want to use this to make another tag or a bookmark. So I'm cutting this down. I'm going to use that heart just to make another embellishment on the little doily pocket, so I cut that out. I'm going to glue that down there to add to that. Super cute. For the kitten sign that I cut out of the calendar, I want to mount it, so I pulled out the cover that came on the book that I used for my junk journal cover. I'm just going to trim that down and add a little border to make the bookmark, also make it a little more stable. I made it a little bit longer than the actual little cutout so that I could punch it at the top to put a little tassel in there. So I cut off the ends to make a little tag or a little bookmark, and I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole at the top, and I'm tying my ribbon in there. I just pulled it through, and I'm going to take my twine and tie it around at the base of the ribbon. Next, I am taking the rest of the cover piece, and I'm going to cut one of these little kitties off, and I wanted to make that another journaling card. I also wanted to add a border, so I used another portion of the cover of my book, added a little green little border around that picture. And I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch all the way around. But I wanted to add some more embellishments to this, so I added lace at the bottom, and then I'm going to take some of my ribbon and cut a piece. I'm just trying to decide how I'm going to do it here. I'll put another piece perpendicular to that lace. So I went ahead and stitched it. And I wanted to make another little booklet to go in here because I did make that into a little pocket, and the little pocket you can either glue that into a page or just tuck it into one of your tuck spots or your belly bands. So what I did was just take one sheet of my white paper and I cut it in half, and then I folded it in half, and now I'm just trying to decide on how I'm going to bind the little book. I decided to use more of my cover of the book. I cut a slice off of that, and I folded it over the edge and did a zigzag stitch on it, and then that just sticks into that little pocket. Super easy. Now I'm going to take this one, I'm going to make another envelope. So I'm just cutting it down into a square. I believe it was 8.5 was how big I made that one. And there's various sizes on this, as I said before, just endless sizes you can do. There's also an app in the Play Store, or I'm not sure, like I'm sure the iPhone store has, or iTunes or whatever it is that the iPhone uses, that you can actually put in whatever size envelope you need and it'll tell you how big to cut your paper and where to score. So I thought that was an awesome find, because the original envelope scoreboard only goes down so small. So if you wanted to make itty bitty little envelopes, you could use that app. So now I'm going to cut this other cat, and I'm just going to make him into another journaling card. So I'm going to mount, I believe I take a white piece of paper or another lined piece of paper, yeah, my notebook paper, and just cut it down, and I'm going to sew that with a zigzag stitch around and make, just to add lines on the back so that whoever receives this journal will have something to write journaling on or add a picture to or whatever. So I just took that over to the sewing machine. Now I'm going to add some ribbon and lace onto the side, and I'm just going to use the stapler. I have a tiny attacher, but I need to buy some more little tiny staples for it. And I actually only got one staple in there because it wasn't wanting to staple more than one, so that's okay. So now this will just slip into one of the pockets. Put that in the side pocket there. Now I'm going in and I'm just going to add in all of my embellishments. And then the next time you will see the final video for this will be the flip through, and I will also be revealing the giveaway winners. I also will do highlights for those that participated in the challenge. I'll show their Instagram handles or their YouTube channels. I haven't looked to see all of them, but I'm loving seeing all the people that have been tagging me on Instagram, showing me their junk journal. So if you still want to participate, you can. There's a few more days left in September. I'd love for you to do that. Go ahead and check out the video for that. And yeah, thanks for joining me. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.